Lauren Manuel McShane, and it's time for a coffee break with Academy Class. And today I am chatting to Adele Hartland, CEO and founder of Lacuna Coaching. How are you, Adele?
Very well, thanks. And you, Lauren?
I'm good, thank you. It's lovely to finally meet you, by the way. And so before we begin, it is coffee time, and I am a bona fide, the boss, I like it. I'm a bona fide coffee lover. So what is your preference when it comes to, are you a tea drinker?
Oh, I'm a bit of both. But so coffee's in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't generally have coffee after lunch. It doesn't happen. But then I have tea. So I enjoy my teas. If it's winter, well, I say that actually. In winter time when it's cold, the coffees might edge a little bit later.
Yes.
But tea in the evenings.
Yes, and you are, so I understand you are South African, but you're living in the UK. So tea is the thing in the UK.
Totally the thing, yeah. So I was in South Africa, I used to drink rooibos tea a lot. Okay. But I drink plain Tetley's tea.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about what you do at Academy Class and kind of what road your journey has brought you along to get here.
Okay, it's quite a broad. Well, at Academy Class at the moment, what we are doing is a lot of the mental resilience training. So really kind of mastering the mind, because we are all, the mind is just incredible, isn't it? And we all have we all have a unique filter. We all have a unique way of seeing the world. And so it's about really kind of getting a greater awareness about how do you think, and what are some of the kind of cognitive distortions or things that patterns of thinking that are not serving you.
Yeah.
So when we start becoming more aware of that and looking at ways that we can change how we think, mm-hmm. we completely have control over that. Sure. So that's, there's quite a long story as to how I got into this.
Mm-hmm. But you can tell us in a nutshell. In a nutshell,
exactly. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to give you a little bit of a snippet. But yeah. I moved to the UK probably about 15 years ago, wanting to make a difference in the world. I went through some experiences and personal changes, and it got me to a point where I realized that I had created, I just wasn't happy with the life that I had, like that I'd created. And it's because I'd not been aware of what I'd been thinking and what I'd been doing, and life kind of happened to me as opposed to me really kind of making
as it does with most people. Yeah.
Exactly. We just kind of go, you just go on this default program. And I kind of just had my wake-up call, waking up thinking, how did I get here? And like, I don't really like do you know what I mean? And realizing that, okay, you don't like what you've got, but you can change it. Yes. And only you can change it. Sure. So, that kind of led along the journey to me setting up my own business. So getting over some of all those issues, what if I'm not good enough? What if I can't do it? Mm-hmm. All the things that we hear in our minds all the time, no one actually ever says it to us. We say it to ourselves. So working through a lot of that, and then now setting up Lacuna Coaching, which is Lacuna is the unfilled space or gap. Okay, it's a Latin word for an unfilled space or gap. So it's all about kind of bridging that gap. Like, what is your gap? Your gap between your current state and your desired state, because we all have one at any given time.
Sure, that's incredibly powerful, and I feel like, especially in the season and the space that we all in, just kind of mental stress. And then also realizing that we need to build some form of mental resilience is huge in this time. I think it's been a massive awakening for so many people. And on that note, so just for us to dig a little bit into the course that you offer at Academy Class, what does that include?
So what we do is, at the moment, we're doing a bit of a masterclass, which is an overview. There's various other ones, but this is what we're doing at the moment, just because it's a day's course, and in that we really go through starting to understand what are some of the things that you think, what are some of these fears, what are some of these thought patterns that you have, and are they serving you?
Yeah.
Okay, so we really started looking at that, and that is what culminates with an app. So there's also use of an app to help you put into practice a lot of what we teach. So there's all sorts of things, like we look at how to uncover some of the subconscious blocks that we all have. We all have them, guaranteed. If there's something that you don't like in your life, or there's something you haven't achieved yet, probably the only reason is because there's a block.
Yeah.
Depending on what your programming is. So this is really a great entry class to really get an understanding of, okay, what are the kind, because we also have these two voices in our head, and one of them's always tripping us up. So it starts kind of giving you an opportunity to really kind of sit in the coach's box and go, okay, starting to become aware of the 50 to 70,000 thoughts that you think every day.
Yeah, and I think that in itself is a skill, because we all just have these thoughts kind of flooding through our minds, and then being able to say, well, actually, let me take stock of what is actually going through our mind, and then like what you go into the next part is actually trying to change some of those things, like you say, the ones that aren't serving you. So those
change
are two.
The neural. Yeah. So and the awareness is a big thing for people, because sometimes, and I can relate back to this, when I would kind of come home and, between leaving work and getting home, I was in a bad mood. And I didn't really know why I was in a bad mood. But I wasn't completely aware that there was thoughts that were playing over on repeat that, they're part of your subconscious. So just like when you drive a car without thinking, okay, there's a program running for you to be able to drive that car. So there's something still happening. But in, the 95% that is your subconscious, it's the most powerful. Yeah. So when we start becoming aware of what some of those thoughts are, and we start questioning them and not identifying with that thought, because you are not your thoughts.
Yeah.
Your thoughts aren't facts.
Which is huge. I think that in itself is huge.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's really kind of a great introduction into starting to become aware of how powerful we actually are. Yeah. We are incredible. Like, we are the most advanced piece of high cutting technology ever created and will ever be. We've just never received a manual. Like, no one's ever told us, by the way, this is how you work. Everything is completely interlinked. Your heart sends signals to your brain, which sends signals to the rest of your body. Everything works like clockwork. But we don't know how to self-regulate ourselves. We don't know how to manage our thought patterns. Yeah. We just assume that we are like that because that's how we are. But no, you were programmed that way in the first 7 years of life.
Yeah, sure. And that is huge. And I mean, that leads me to my next question. So for you and this course or this workshop, who do you feel could this benefit most? I would say everybody, but
everyone. It absolutely is. Yeah. Everyone says, oh, it's got to be it's for absolutely anyone. But really, I suppose it is for people that want to actually just get the best out of life. Yeah. Some people are quite happy to just go through life and, they're just following a routine and they're quite happy. They don't want to do anything above and beyond. But, there are people out there that know that, like, we always look at someone who's achieved miraculous things, or I say miraculous, like, and we go, oh, they're just special. Yeah. They've got a different genetics, or they were born into money. There's always an excuse, there's something that we say to kind of validate why, or make us feel better while we haven't. The only difference is their thought patterns and the way they're doing things. You absolutely create your reality in two ways, based on the filters of what you see and based on kind of energetically. Like, whatever energy you're putting out is what you will attract into your life.
True. Very, very true. And I think with many people, like you say, you had to go through personal things in your life to then have this, this thought to be like, actually I could do it differently. I want to do it differently. Yeah. Is it possible? So I think that moment it comes from.
You don't have to be. People have come to think that anxiety is just something that we have to accept. Yeah. It's not. Anxiety is something that you create for yourself. It's from overthinking patterns, because every time you think something, that thought actually stimulates an emotional response within the brain and within the body. The brain goes into stress response, into panic, depending on what the thought is. Our stress response has not evolved. It's still what it was back in caveman days, where they were running away from Bengal tigers, except we now get the same stress response from having an email not being sent, or missing a deadline, or having to do all these things.
Sure. I was going to say something. Oh yes, that's what I was actually going to say. I think, what you're offering is also exceptionally important nowadays, because more people are actually awakening to the idea that health and well-being is a holistic thing. People are slowly moving out of the idea, like, I don't just need to be popping my pills and that's going to help me. There's the whole, my body actually has to be okay, or my mind has to be well in order for me to be well. So they're
completely interlinked, body, mind, and soul. Like, we all have this, we got taught quite a bit, in school, how to look after your eating. You got to eat, you got to sleep, and you got to get rest and exercise. Fine, that's a physical body. But our mind, like, if your mind's not right, and we know that this is happening, we look at the increase in mental health issues around the world. We look at what COVID has done with people. We look at what's happening to the younger generation, because they have just been grown up in a world that is constantly with social media, which, all of these platforms specifically designed to use our psychology against us, to kind of get us involved, notifications, like buttons, all these kind of things.
Completely. And I also think, it also plays, but then on the other hand, I feel like the generations before us just had no concept of mental health, but it was very much like we don't talk about.
Yes.
And now younger generations are actually like, it's actually a thing. Like, we need to talk about mental health, and it's important. So that's a positive, I guess.
No, absolutely. The younger generation is more clued into knowing that, okay, people matter, connecting with people, all these kind of things are really, really important.
Yes. And for you, Adele, what do you think would set this course apart from others that might be in the similar area?
I don't think there's anything really like this at the moment. Oh, there probably are, maybe, I suppose. But I think what's great about it is it can fit seamlessly into your life. So at the moment, the way we do the introduction, obviously they do get done. There is option for them to do longer courses, which obviously is great. But the introduction is there's an app that supports you. So it's like having a coach in your pocket. And that I think is what's great, is because the app can help keep you accountable. It has got all the teachings in there, and there's access to a personal mind mentor as well. And it's just a combination of, it's not entirely new information. It's just given in a new way that can be applied and used in our day-to-day lives, like in our current, where we are in this kind of society. So it's a combination of NLP, ancient philosophies, positive psychology, and it just really kind of, it's all the best bits culminated into just a really easy to understand and apply to your day-to-day, without, it's not like going to sit and listen to a course. It's something you can immediately apply into your life.
Awesome. If you had another career in absolutely anything else, what would it be?
Like, so what would be one of those things I'd love to do?
Yes.
I always used to get really quite so with two things. One thing I'd love to do is, I always said I'd love to be a presenter for a travel program.
Okay,
where I just go and travel all over the world. Presented for a travel program. And the other thing is, I quite love to do some acting.
Okay, awesome. Very good to know.
I quite like the idea.
Like the idea of acting on stage or for screen, because there is quite a big
for screen.
Okay, there's quite a big.
I used to do a lot of like pantomimes and stuff, and I was a ballet dancer back in my when I was in Africa. So
I've done ballet dance since I was 7.
Yes, no, I did for many years. I went as far as intermediate. I just had to
Okay.
do my solo seal.
Okay, sure. That's amazing. And speaking of travel, because you said it's one of the things that you love, if you had one entire week to go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Oh, only a week.
Or just 1 week. Yeah. Yeah. Just 1 week.
Like right now, if I had to decide, if you said you could go, oh, I'd love to go to Bali. I went last year and I fell in love. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah. But Bali, you need a good 2 months there. That's
exactly. That's why I said only a week. I don't know. There's so many places that I still got on my list. Everywhere. I haven't been everywhere, but it's on my list.
Yeah. No, same, exactly the same.
Okay.
So, yeah. Thanks so much for joining us for a coffee break with Academy Class Adele. It's been so wonderful chatting and meeting you.
Thanks for having me, Lauren.
It's been a pleasure. And so to find out more about Adele's workshop, Master the Mind, Win the Inner Game, you can go to academyclass.com and you can find, you can find out more under their course section. And from all of us at Academy Class, bye.